Hey guys, Aaron Dorr here with Georgia Gun Owners. Session's officially underway here in Atlanta. GGO has big goals in the fight for gun rights in 2025. I'm going to break all three of them down for you in just a moment. But first, I want to kind of set the stage on where we are right now here in Georgia in the fight for gun rights. You know, for the last 4 years, ever since Joe Biden won Georgia in 2020, the national media has tried to convince all of us that Georgia is a blue state. And that was completely repudiated on November 5 last year. Up and down the ballot, Georgians sent a message that we reject the radical left's gun control agenda and we want freedom. Again, that was in D.C., the White House, the Senate, but especially right here in our own state capital. And so as we approach this session, as far as we're concerned, now is no time to be tepid or be timid or trying to make consensus with both sides across the aisle. We want to kick down the door and do big things to secure gun rights, not just for 2025, but for the next generation. That starts, in our opinion, number one, with passing the Second Amendment Preservation Act. You've heard a lot about SEPA from us over the last 2 years. SEPA tells the federal government they cannot use Georgia cops to enforce federal gun control laws. That's the problem we have right now, or we had under Joe Biden, was we're a red state, but our blue, out-of-control, demented president is trying to use our own cops against us. Executive orders, gun control treaties. He wanted our cops to enforce his agenda, even though it was a violation of Georgia law. SEPA would clear that up forever and tell the feds you cannot use our cops to enforce federal gun control. Now, the obvious question is, what does that matter? Biden's out, Trump is in, everything is good. And that's right. But as we all know, he's only in for 4 years. So 5 years from now, we're going to vote again. Maybe we have President J.D. Vance, but maybe we have President Gretchen Whitmer or some other radical leftist commie. The point is, at some point in your children's lifetime, at a minimum, and probably in ours, we're going to have a Democrat back in the White House. We must pass SEPA to protect future Georgians from the next Democrat president. And right now is the best time because with a friendly White House and a friendly Department of Justice, we're not going to have to worry about SEPA being sued over in federal court. When other states have passed this in the last couple of years, they were immediately attacked by Biden's DOJ. We would not have that problem. Now is the time to pass SEPA. Number two, we need to finally ban these freaking red flag gun seizure ideas here in Georgia. As you know, we've stopped red flag laws for years. They've been refiled again right now for this session, and we're going to stop that one too with your support. We want to go beyond defense and beyond blocking red flags. Our bill this session would make it a crime for anybody to enforce a red flag law against any Georgian unless that Georgian has been convicted of a violent felony crime. The idea of someone just calling you in and saying you could be dangerous and the court's issuing that seizure order when no charges have ever been filed, that would be done if we passed our bill to ban red flag laws. And if some jurisdiction decides they don't want to follow that, like say the Atlanta PD, this bill has civil penalties built into the law to allow you to haul that agency into civil court for damages. That's number two. And number three, we've got to deal with our preemption law here in Georgia. Georgia has preemption law. Only the General Assembly can pass laws that restrict in any way or regulate firearms, ammunition, and accessories. But as you guys remember, last year when those 20 mayors demanded a special session for gun control and Governor Kemp told them no, cities like Savannah began to enact their own gun control laws. And they did it full well knowing they were in violation of the state's preemption law. They pretty much said on social media they didn't give a damn. And the reason for it is that there's basically no penalties in the law. Yeah, the attorney general can take action. He gave him a strongly worded letter, and that did nothing. So while the AG can do things, he's choosing not to. What we have to do instead is what other states have done, and that is to put civil penalties into our preemption law. So if you're a gun owner in Savannah and you're impacted by this local gun control ordinance, you could take that department, the mayor's office, anybody who was involved in trying to crack down on you into civil court for damages. We need to have civil remedies in these big red states that also have big blue cities. That's number 3. And lastly, there's going to be some defensive battles we have to be on the ball on in 2025. We have a lot of gun control bills being filed, but the ones that give us the most amount of cause for concern right now are the bills that supposedly all sides can agree to, the bills that have a concession on both sides of the aisle. The first of those is safe storage laws, so-called safe storage laws. They want to force you and me to lock up our guns 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, unless we're hunting, cleaning our firearms, or target shooting. I don't know about you, but I like to have a Glock 19 next to my bed at night. I've done it for a very long time, pretty much since I was old enough to own one. If you're a Georgian these days, you're watching violent crime surge in our cities. You know that if you're in a rural part of Georgia, it could be a half an hour before deputies can get to your house. The idea of forcing us to lock up our guns is absolutely absurd. But there are many Democrats and not a small number of moderate Republicans who believe this is a common sense solution. We got to shut that down hard. They also, unfortunately, in many cases agree that waiting periods are another common sense solution. The last thing a law-abiding Georgian should have to worry about when they're concerned about their safety. Maybe someone's stalking your daughter, your granddaughter. She's an adult, lives on her own. Some crazy person is stalking her. She wants to buy a gun. The last thing she should worry about is the state of Georgia telling her, no, you have to wait 3 days. You have to wait 7 days. You have to wait 10 days before you can buy a gun. There's other gun control bills coming, no doubt. AR-15 bans, red flag gun seizures, magazine limits, a lot. But these are the 3 that supposedly all sides can agree to. We have to shut these down very hard. It's going to be a big session. We need you guys to be involved in this. Help us out in a couple of ways. Number 1, watch out for text alerts from Georgia gun owners. Text is a great way for us to give you guys breaking news updates. Keep an eye on your phone. Number 2, watch for email updates from GGO because they're also a great way to give you guys very quick updates from the Capitol. All of our texts, all of our emails have some action item you can take to make your voice heard here in Atlanta. And finally, if you haven't yet done so, join or renew your support today for GGO. Go to georgiagunowners.org to get involved in this fight for 2025. More coming, guys, every day. Sessions underway. It's going to be a big fight. Get ready.